Good morning, everybody. This is episode 53 of the 476ers podcast. We're going to take a spin around the league, talk about some of the playoffs, and talk about some of the coaching
yeah. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhymes that are coming from my mind.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm doing an intro now. That's what that was. I did an intro. I'm going to start doing that now because it's not a thing that I do well, and I want to let people know what we're going to be talking about at the beginning of a podcast. In this podcast, we're going to talk basketball. I'm not going to get into what happened last night. I'm going to do another podcast talking about yesterday. And if you don't know what's happening yesterday, I'll inform you on another podcast. Let's talk basketball for right now. So let's jump into the playoffs. I'm eating my words. Well, I'm not eating my words. It's whatever. You make a prediction and then you eat shit. I have a pimple here. I'm sorry. You make a prediction and then you eat shit for it. And that's just kind of how it goes when you're trying to predict anything. Miss Cleo will tell you that. Miss Cleo been predicting things for years. She's been wrong all the time. But, you know, I just compared myself to Miss Cleo. Listen, one, it's not over yet. I do want to say this. All right, so the Nuggets are down 2-1. I said this at the end of game 2. Not on a podcast. I said this to a friend of mine that if you're the Nuggets, you have to feel pretty good because they were down 10 in the fourth quarter, and an AD big dick shot had to come out in order to beat them. And I think they probably walked away from that game based on the things we've seen in the recent history of the Nuggets. I assume they felt pretty good about that. You know what I mean? Because this is a pretty mentally tough team. This is also, hey, hint, 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 Sixers. This is what happens when you have continuity up and down your lineup. Because essentially what you have is guys that when they get into the ship, believe in each other, trust in each other, know who to rely on and what spots. They know how to switch on defense. Even that Joker switch, let's be clear. There should have been a switch there. But let's be clear. That was a good contest. And if AD misses the shot, we're talking about how good of a contest it was by Joker. Now, in the NBA, good contests and bad contests, all of that is subjective, and it's all based on when someone really makes a shot, right? This goes back to kind of the Paul George, Dame Lillard thing. You know what I mean? Where when you're talking about if something is a good shot or something is a bad shot, you really got to make sure you're talking about – you got to have who you're talking about what player are you talking about? So when Paul George said that about Dame, it's like, no, you're wrong here. You know what I mean? This is Dame. I assure you this is a good shot. This is a good shot for Dame. This is not a good shot for a lot of other basketball players, but for Dame Lillard, I assure you this is a good shot. And in the AD case, AD being so long, so tall, and getting off the floor so high on his jumpers, you need to be underneath him when he's already rising up to really get a good contest. But AD hasn't been shooting threes at a really high percentage this year. I haven't looked at his bubble three-point percentage, but I know that during the regular season, he was a below-average three-point shooter, and it was kind of causing issues for their offense because, you know, they're running all these big dudes out, no floor spacers. And AD, while he is a threat to shoot, had not been really converting at a high level. Well, you know, hits that three, that's a bit of a, you know, that takes a stretch. Now, that shit looked good as soon as it left his hands, and later we learned that AD is one of the, in clutch time possessions, actually has one of the best shot percentages, one of the best field goal percentages in the NBA, if not the best, I think. So I mean, the shot looked good. He stepped into it. He looked calm. When you have LeBron on your side, it's kind of hard to feel a lot of pressure. You know what I mean? I'll say that. Now, AD also hit this shot in the playoffs. He hit this shot 4 years ago to go to the playoffs against the Thunder. And then, you know, subsequently they got blown out in the playoffs, I think. But they were the A seed. They were fighting for the A seed. And I don't know if you guys remember this. I mean, KD, he jumped and dodged Russ's contest, KD's attempt at a block, and drained the three-pointer. It was a pretty crazy shot. So, you know, he's done this before. That was a crazy shot. But if you were the Nuggets, I think they walked away from that game with a different perspective than we walked away because people started, I think, probably pouring dirt on their grave. And the Nuggets walked away, again, being super duper confident and believing in each other and bouncing back in the playoffs multiple times. they walked away thinking, yeah, no, I'm not worried about this. We're not worried about this. We actually feel good about this outcome, because this has been the kind of the case for a lot of these series for them so far. Where they're getting punched in the mouth, and then once they figure out the counter punch, then all of a sudden they go on a crazy run. There's no way to stop them. You know what I mean? It's almost like Mayweather, right? When Floyd fights, most people who know who watch boxing, if you watch Floyd fight, he typically loses, or the round 1 and round 2 are always a little choppy. It's always hard to call. Might be prone to losing that round. It's because he's just getting the pace. And then after that, once round 1 or round 2 hits, it's pretty much a wash from round 3 to round 12 typically. 3 to 12 is typically just him doing what he's going to do. You know what I mean? He's figured out the pace. He's figured out he's figured it all out. All the dimensions, how you're going to fight, all the angles. He knows it now. He's going to fuck you up for the next 9 or 10 rounds. Well, the Nuggets kind of are showing a propensity to be somewhat like that, at least in all the playoffs so far. I mean, that's how they push everything to Game 7. You know what I mean? It's just, you don't murder them. You don't take them out. You know what I mean? So you got to give them some credit, man. Like that, so I actually feel good. I think the Nuggets have the Lakers right where they want them. Down 2-1, they have them exactly where they want them. I would not feel good about tonight's game. I assume LeBron's coming today for blood. You know what I mean? He knows the importance of going up 3-1 as opposed to tying 2-2. It's a brand new series. So I'm thinking LeBron's going to come for blood tonight. We'll see. You know what I mean? Celtics lost yesterday. The Celtics are really, really struggling right now, adjusting to this zone defense. Gordon helped for sure. But I mean, this Heat team is resilient. You know what I mean? I'm not going to spend any time hating. I've done all my hating already. You know how I feel about the Heat, and you know how I feel about Jimmy, who airballed a crazy jump shot down the stretch yesterday, and almost missed 2 free throws. Well, actually missed 1 and almost missed another one. But I'm not here to hate. I'm sorry. I'm not here to hate. You see that? I just shot him. I just did a drive-by on Jimmy. I didn't even mean to. That air ball was kind of crazy. I mean, it was like a 12-footer. It just missed the rim by 4 feet. Anyway, it's not an easy shot for regular people. For pros, who knows? Anyway, that's not the point. I'm not here to hate. There is value to a guy who is a good shooter already, right? A guy who can shoot already. He can shoot and has an unlimited wealth of confidence within him, and that's Hero. That's Tyler Hero right there. You know what I mean? Just an unlimited resource of confidence just brimming from him. So you're already a good shooter. You know what I mean? You're already a good shooter. That's not a question. That's not a question if you're a good shooter. But the confidence, as anyone who's played, and listen, let's keep it 100 here. It's not just basketball. I mean, I've had this conversation at my job with my boss, with my boss's boss, about how undermining an employee's confidence can fuck up their whole shit. Confidence in the workplace, in any workplace, in anything you do, in relationships and friendships, in anything you do, having confidence can either grow it, or lack of confidence can shred it. And it's no different in basketball. It's no different in sports in general. When you shoot with confidence, you no longer pour over the details of your shot. You see, because I think sometimes what happens, if I had to break it down, the best way I could break it down, when you're shooting and you lacking confidence, right? When you're starting to lose confidence in your shot, as you're shooting, you start examining the things you're doing when you shoot. And you're examining every detail of your shot. Did you jump high enough? Is your elbow high enough? Is your elbow straight enough? Did you flex your wrist enough? Did you follow through enough? Did you put enough spin on the ball? Did you put enough arc on the ball? So you start going through all of these things, and all of a sudden, as you add more details and more steps, it's more details to fuck up in the end. And now all of a sudden, you're jumping and you're thinking and you're saying, am I high enough to release right now? And now you're releasing on the way down, or you're releasing on the way up, as opposed to at the peak of your jump shot, depending on what your jump shot, how you shoot. You're starting to do all of these things. Whereas when you have confidence, you don't even fucking think about it no more. You've already done the work. You've done all the work already. You've practiced your jump shot. Especially these guys, they've shot 1 trillion shots. They don't need to pour over what they're doing any longer. You know what I mean? That's why even like as a Phillies reference, Rhys Hoskins going over his swing, trying to rebuild his swing. I mean, I can't even imagine how impossible. Now he's come along, and well, for what now he's injured, but the point being, when you've done one thing a million times, this even to Ben Simmons, you know, expecting him to go to his right hand now. I mean, it's pretty much just a done deal. You know what I mean? He shot 1 trillion shots with his left. He's not finna just switch to his right now, right? Even though we all see he's right-handed. So, you know, the point being, when you have a guy with unlimited confidence in him, that's a dangerous fucking combination for everyone in the NBA. Now, that person can shoot you out of games. That's how a J.R. Smith can shoot you out of a game, or a Dion Waiters can shoot you out of a game, or a Jamal Crawford can shoot you out of a game, right? Because these guys have unlimited confidence, but not necessarily the unlimited skill set required to maintain that confidence. But that's how Steph Curry can become a unanimous MVP. That's how Clay can score 60 on 10 dribbles. That's how Clay has the Clay game against the Thunder, unlimited confidence. They've done this a million times. They're finna just pull up and shoot. Shooters are going to shoot. They're going to pull up. That's how I slide into a million DMs. Shooters shoot. I might not be successful, but I'm not going to stop. Shooters are going to shoot. You know what I mean? So that's what we have with Tyler Hero, and that's what happened last night. I mean, a crazy performance. I think he scored 37 when it was all said and done. I think he had 37. You know, shoot or shoot. And you know what? Even on the other side, right? So here's the point. I don't know what the answer is right now for the Celtics, but I'm not going to sit here again and rewrite history and say that the Heat are more talented than the Celtics. I don't think they are. I do not think they are. They seem like they might be a little bit better coached, and they have some dog to them right now. You know what I mean? That I don't think the Celtics necessarily have. You know what I mean? The Celtics have dogs to them. Don't get me wrong. It's not that the Celtics don't have dogs to them. They just don't have the amount of dogs. Let's say they have one dog. You know what I mean? They got one dog, and that's Marcus Smart. But the Heat have dogs from top to bottom. You know, their starting five is a bunch of fucking dogs. You know what I mean? But not really. I mean, Duncan's not a dog, but Duncan's another confident shooter. He's a functional player. Goran isn't quite a dog. Goran is like, if you had an anime, he's the smaller character that's done some thug shit, but you don't know he's done thug shit until the shit hits the fan and some other character gets the sweat bubble on his head and he says, oh, fuck, I know that guy. He scored 23 in the third quarter against the Spurs 12 years ago in the playoffs. We got to be careful. And here comes Goran. You know what I mean? So you know, they have a lot of guys like that. I mean, Jay Crowder's a dog. Jimmy, he's a dog. Bam isn't necessarily a dog, but he is. You know, he doesn't carry himself in that way, not a large barker, but is somebody who plays defense, gets in the mix, is in the mix for every rebound. All the rebounds are available to him, you know what I mean? Kelly Olynyk, a dog. They have a lot of dogs, you know what I mean? Tyler Hero's a fucking dog, you know what I mean? So, and the Celtics don't necessarily. The Celtics, this, you know what this almost feels like? This is almost a microcosm of the bad boy Pistons versus the Bulls in the end of the '80s. You know what I mean? Where if the Celtics expect to win this game, Jalen and Jason, they're gonna have to get dirty a little bit. Them guys be leaving games too clean. It's like when you play football and an offensive lineman leaves the field and it's a muddy field and his jersey is white. It's like, how did that happen? Did you play? You know what I mean? You didn't get dirty, motherfucker. Roll on the ground before you walk off this field, right? It looked like you played here. And that's going to be required, you know what I mean, for Tatum and Jalen. And I don't know exactly how they're going to exact that, but they're going to have to figure that out. Same thing with Gordon. These guys got to get dirty. You know, Kemba looks like he is willing to get dirty, but Kemba's not enough right now. Kemba, there's something wrong with Kemba. No question about it, there's something wrong with Kemba. You know what I mean? His knee, we know his knee has been a problem all year. I'm not going to believe that all of a sudden it's good in the playoffs. He's been up and down. This happens when you have a bulky knee, as they may call it, right? A bulky knee where it's like just inconsistency. It's just inconsistency. All his jump shots are affected by it. When he feels good, he'll have that 25-point game. But most of the time, it's not stable. and he's having trouble finishing. He's having trouble beating bigger guys off the dribble. He's having trouble doing a lot. There's also Kemba's also a level below than I think people are realizing. You know what I mean? We should remember that. Kemba, I like Kemba. You know, I was never a big fan of Kemba, but I always loved his heart. I could always appreciate his heart. But in terms of skill set, he's kind of a level below. If you replace Kemba right now with Kyle Lowry, this is a different series, I promise you, because Kyle's a fucking dog. You know what I mean? So I don't know how this is going to go right now. I'm not feeling super confident, obviously. I mean, down 3-1, most teams don't come back unless you're the Nuggets or you're the LeBron, right, and the Cavaliers. So that requires two transcendent players. That requires at least one transcendent player. Say what you fucking want about Joker. Joker is a transcendent player. That is the best center in the NBA, unfortunately. Sixers fans, I am sorry. He is the best center in the NBA. When you do it in the playoffs, you win the crown. We know that Joel is the best ceiling in the NBA in terms of centers, both defensively and offensively. He can cause havoc around the rim. He causes havoc around the rim on offense and on defense. Can do anything on the court. But when you do it in the playoffs, that's one thing. And two, Joker is an offense unto himself. Joker is the equivalent of combining Joe and Ben, removing all the defense though, and just putting the offense together. You know what I mean? It's almost like, because Ben and Joker are, trust me, Joker is not 7 feet tall. Put Joel into Ben's body, including making him out of shape now, and taking away some of his athleticism and trading in the athleticism in the defense only for the offense. And that is what Joker is. You know what I mean? Joker is an offense onto himself. And again, I had this conversation on the last podcast talking about his defense is actually a little bit underrated. You know what I mean? Again, the contest he gets on Anthony Davis is good. He reads the pass, gets there pretty much right away. But because of the lack of athleticism, lack of length, lack of height, can't do much to that shot. He's there, but he's just not a lot he can do. But it's not like he wasn't there. It's not like he didn't know where it was going. Joker is I would trade Ben and Joe for Joker right now. Probably not, but it makes me sad. Anyway, back to the Celtics. This is going to require Tatum to really dig down deep. You know what I mean? Again, Tatum is not MJ. Trust me, I'm not saying that. But MJ facing the Pistons made him reach in deep. And that following year was not going to let it happen. Now, some of that is timing too, you know what I mean? But he just wasn't going to allow that to happen to himself again. I promise you, MJ would have reversed time for 2 years so he could have come in stronger to face the Pistons in their fucking prime because he wanted to go take their fucking heart. Tatum's going to have to figure that out this series, and I don't think that's going to happen probably. I'm still going to stick with my pick. I'm not flip-flopping because when you make your pick, you go down. I'm not one of these pundits out here. That's the difference between me and them. If I'm wrong, I'm finna be wrong all the way. I'm not going to go back and act like I'm right. No, I'm finna go say I'm wrong. You know what I mean? I was right picking. I was right on 2 of 4 teams in the conference finals, the Heat and the Lakers, and that was it. No, actually, no, I was right on 3. I picked Heat Celtics in the conference finals. I'm sorry. So it's a tough situation here for the Celtics. I don't see how they bounce back. It down 3-1. I do think they'll win the next game. I may even bet on it. I feel really confident they'll win. Game 6, they're too good. They're too talented. Say what you want, man. Unless you're going to tell me they're going to choke. Unless you're going to tell me they're just not going to show up to the game, which I don't even think is the case. Listen, Tatum was on his way to having an all-time bad game yesterday. Started the game, I think, 0 for 7. They said 0 for 6 on the broadcast, but I thought it was 0 for 7. I might be wrong. Starting 0 for 6, and then in the second half said, no, fuck this. I think he scored 25 in the second half. You know what I mean? Tatum is a special player. Jalen is a special player. Again, like I've said, Jalen has a lower ceiling in terms of scoring. You know what I mean? Jalen going on a scoring barrage is 35. Tatum going on a scoring barrage is 50. But Jalen's defense is too important right now. But there's just too many weapons. I don't know what the answer here is. A lot of this is the Heat Man, the Heat play well, man. They play well. They play well. Spo plays well. It's not like they have one guy that's crushing them. They have a different guy showing up. Bam is consistent. They don't have an answer for Bam. No one's going to have an answer for Bam. And a lot of what Bam gets, too, we got to understand, they're getting a lot of penetration, too. You know what I mean? Goran is a master penetrator. You know what I mean? He's like the best porn star, incredible porn star, penetrating at a master level. And so is Jimmy. These guys are master penetrators, and as that draws the defense over, Bam is either available for more offensive rebounds, or he's just more available to get putbacks or to get the little dump off or what have you. You know what I mean? He's just going to be available for that, and he's pretty much a guaranteed bucket within that 5 feet area. He has a nice pretty little jump shot from 10 feet out. I expect next year, depending how this offseason looks, he's probably going to be shooting threes by next year. You know what I mean? He'll probably be putting himself in positions to hit threes. He's come along every single year. You know what I mean? Just like Pascal, just like Giannis we've seen, this dude is coming along every single year, adding things to his game. You know, they just play really, really well together. A lot of high IQ guys. And then they got these two flamethrowers. You know what I mean? And they can march out more flamethrowers if they really wanted to. You know, there's not an option here. There's no going big. Even if the Heat see the Lakers, if the Heat see the Lakers, they can run out lineups that are big with, let's say, you know, bench guys like Kelly Olynyk and what's his face, what's his stupid name? Came over from the Trailblazers last year. I have his face in my head. Came over from the Trailblazers last year and hit in one half, scored like 30 points last year against the Nuggets, just on 3-pointers. You know what I mean? Damn, I can't remember his fucking name. He's a handsome son of a bitch too. Anyway, it's not important. They can march out lineups like that. Big guys with size who can also shoot. They can match any lineup right now. So you know. They play well. They are not the most talented team. I disagree with that. I'm going to vehemently stand there, which honestly is to give them more credit. You know what I mean? To say that they're the most talented team is to act like they just showed up and we're going to win. No, this is not the most talented team. This team is built really well. It's coached really well. And they're dogs. You know what I mean? It's a personality that they have. They're going to do what they do better than you do what you do. That's the important part, right? So if Jay Crowder, right, so when you have the Heat versus the Bucks, Jay Crowder is doing a better Jay Crowder than Giannis is doing a Giannis, and that's what you're getting, right? That's kind of what the Heat are. You know what I mean? My guy is going to be the best version of my guy, and we're going to stop your guy from being the best version of himself. And that's what the Heat are doing. You know what I mean? It's you know, it's a strategy, and Spo is one of the best coaches in the NBA. At the end, no matter what you say here, at the end, I think he is now wearing the crown as the best coach in the NBA. You know what I mean? They're probably going to beat the Celtics, and he has now taken the best coach in the NBA, the crown. You know what I mean? So he deserves it. In terms of coaching news, so it was some rumors, some rumblings going around. Sixers look pretty confident. It looks pretty assured that we're going to be hiring Mike D'Antoni. I've told you I don't want Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni is only one. He is a. I've talked about this on previous podcasts. You have coaches sometimes that are regular season coaches. Guys like Bud, who I think is showing himself to be just a regular season coach, but once you get into the playoffs and the game changes, doesn't necessarily have it. Brad Stevens is going to fuck around and get there if he continues to lose in the playoffs. Brett wasn't even a regular season coach. I'm sorry. Brett doesn't deserve that. Pop is one of the rare, Pop and Phil, right? These guys are the rare, both regular season and postseason coaches. So Mike D'Antoni, regular season coach. What's his face? Rest in peace, Jerry Sloan. Arguably a regular season coach. Now, I would also argue that he never had the most talented teams. You can feel what you want about Karl Malone. You can feel what you want about John Stockton. I'm not trying to take credit away from them, but nobody in the world would say, yeah, I would definitely take John Stockton and Karl Malone over MJ and Scottie. You know what I mean? No one would say that. I think a lot of that team's success had to do with there with the coaching, with the system that they had in place, which made them a guaranteed bucket on possessions. You know what I mean? And then they ran into two of the greatest defensive players of all time. So with that said, Mike D'Antoni is a regular season coach. Now, Mike D'Antoni has had some bad luck in the past. You know what I mean? He's had some bad luck in the past. Just look it up. Bad luck with the Suns. Situation, the almost fight where Nash gets launched by Robert Horry into the like the announcer's table thing, like a wrestling match, and bust his nose up, and then all these guys get off the bench, and all those guys get suspended, and that changes that series. Shit like that kind of sucks. You know what I mean? Some bad luck. Has had some bad GMs. Say what you want. I mean, they got crushed because they didn't have a big man in that last series. You know what I mean? They couldn't contend with the Lakers size, unfortunately. And once the three-pointers start going away, where are you getting buckets from? You know what I mean? So some bad luck, but also I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. The system he brings here is not going to work for Joe. It's going to be clear. It's not going to work for Joe unless Joe plans on dropping 30 pounds. Is not going to work for Joe. Not that Joe can't get up and down the floor. Not that he's not that type of athletic center, but that's not him at his best. This is great for Ben. Get out and run. Oh, that's awesome for Ben if you're going to flip Joe for something. And along that line, there's rumors of Buddy. Now, I don't know what it's going to take to get Buddy here. It better not be Joe, to be fucking clear. You know what I mean? Unless Joe is getting us Buddy, Marvin Bagley, unless it's like Joe and Al, you know what I mean, for Buddy, Marvin Bagley, and 1,000 picks. All of the Kings picks, every pick that the Kings have, including ownership into their franchise. What do they have? It's just Buddy and Marvin Bagley. The only thing I want. You know what I mean? De'Aaron doesn't make sense. We're not gonna get De'Aaron Fox here. It doesn't make any goddamn sense to pair next to Ben. And Marvin Bagley is not. We don't know anything about Marvin Bagley. You know, we don't know what his deal is. So unless his draft picks, Marvin and Buddy, I don't know how this makes sense. And unless we're flipping Al, it doesn't make sense. Al probably would make a little bit more sense as a 5 in D'Antoni's system. Like a stretch 5, but in reality, your best case scenario is that Ben is going to be the 5, I would think, and you're going to run out a lineup of Josh, Buddy, if you trade for Buddy, Josh, Buddy. Let's say Matisse learns how to shoot, Toby and Ben, and you're going to run out that lineup, a dynamic defensive switchable lineup, something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like the Mike D'Antoni Joel thing. I just don't like it. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. I don't see how that is going to help us. Trading for Buddy makes sense, depending on what you're planning on giving up for Buddy. You know, if it's a swap for Buddy and Toby, Buddy for Toby, or, one of our draft picks and Toby for Buddy. Buddy and Toby straight up is fine, honestly. I don't even know. I don't think those contracts match, though, so I don't know that makes sense. The problem is Buddy's going to get here and forget how to shoot, just like Toby got here and forgot how to shoot. But Buddy is a definite better whatever. I'm done. I don't even want to make any more trades. I'm just sick of this, man. I'm making myself depressed. Billy Donovan hired with the Bulls. I like that hiring for the Bulls. I think that's a good hiring for them. You know what I mean? There are some other rumblings about coaches. I forgot what. I don't know if Tyronn Lue was matched with the Rockets or with the Pacers. I can't remember. But whatever. It's not important. Looks like we're probably going to hire Mike D'Antoni. So, and he was connected to us. And, remember, he was an assistant coach here a few years ago. And there was rumblings then that he was actually going to replace. That was with that was with our collar homie, Colangelo, who the rumbling started then that he was going to replace Brett with Mike D'Antoni. So go figure. I don't want Mike D'Antoni. No. Okay, I think we're done. I think we'll stop there. We'll see how this goes. Like I said, I'm picking the Celtics to win the next game for sure. Nuggets, I think the Nuggets, we'll see. I don't know. If I had to pick tonight's game, man, LeBron is going to come out for blood. But this Nuggets team, man, they're like, fuck it. I'm going to pick the Nuggets. Fuck it, man. Let's just do it. Nuggets are winning today, man. They're going to win today. They're going to reel off 3 straight. Fuck it. I don't know if they're going to reel off 3 straight. They're going to win today, I think. And I think that the Celtics are going to win the next game. Or maybe I'm a fool. I might be. I am. I'm a fool. But we'll see. That's it, guys. Everyone stay safe. You know the deal. Wash your hands. Arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. The next podcast, there'll be another podcast coming out. We're going to talk about that. Black Lives Matter. You know the drill. Wash your hands. Stay 6 feet the fuck away from me. You know, even when this is over, stay 6 feet away from me. All right? I don't want to fucking see you that close. Unless you're, you know, a beautiful lady, then, you know, 3 feet is cool. Otherwise, everyone else stay 6 feet the fuck away from me. I don't want nothing to do with it. Everyone, take care out there. Peace out.
Yeah. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhymes that are coming from my mind. Used to come